Good to see you. So what I'm doing is I'm just making this short video. I've got about 7 things to tell you about DBQs if you watch it. So these are just some tips. I'll be referring to the DBQ Helpful Hints that I have. You have them on Google Classroom. I'm using an email I wrote to a student who I responded to this morning. And then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should, if she's got a question, maybe a lot of you do. So here we go. So first of all, I have the DBQ right here. It's a lot easier to look at if you print it out. I'm going to be referring to this. So get it, either look at it on your computer or whatever. But I'll be looking at the second page. So the first thing you should do when you get a DBQ is read everything. Read this sheet, read all of the documents, look at the questions. Don't answer them, just look at them, read everything. Read what's above it, what's below it, the source, every piece of information that you can. So make sure you do that. Your CRQ questions, make sure that they're incomplete sentences. On the doc that I have, make sure you answer those questions in red, okay? It just makes it easier for me to look at, okay? So the next thing you should look at the historical context, okay? Right here, historical context. That is going to help you when we get down a little bit with our first paragraph or intro paragraph. But it also, as you read through it, it's going to set it in your mind. Okay, this is the time period. This is the content that we're going to be using for this DBQ, for this essay, for you to write about. Okay, and it gives you time to think about things. Okay, what have we talked about in class? What have you read about in the textbook? What have you heard from your parents and your grandparents who might have survived through this? You know, in this day and age right now, there's an awful lot talked about the Great Depression because of our failing economy right now. And so it's going to just give you some time to think about that. Then the next step is the tasks. Okay, it's always going to look like this. They'll give you some general information, but there'll be a box, or at least there'll be bullets. Those bullets, those are the tasks. That's what you're expected to do. That's what you're expected to write about. Okay, it's hinted at in the historical context, but this is exactly what you have to address. If you only address half of it, you're only going to get half a grade because you haven't looked at and discussed the whole issue of the tasks. In this case, it's 2 tasks. Okay, so that's really important. So you have the historical context, which is going to help you with your intro. So that's the first paragraph. You have the tasks. You notice there's 2 bullets. All right, there's 2 bullets there. Okay, that means 2 body paragraphs. So now we're up to 3 paragraphs. And then when you're done with your body paragraphs, you simply finish with a concluding paragraph. So for this specific DBQ, because there's 2 tasks, it's a 4-paragraph essay, okay? A formula that you might want to keep in mind as you go through this is the number of tasks plus 2 equals the number of paragraphs that you're going to use. Now let's get into kind of what you should look at. Now I'm going to look at the DBQ Helpful Hints that you have. You know, what always is asked is how many documents do I need to use? Well, you know, it depends if you want a really good grade or a really crappy grade. You know, we should look at using all of them. There's 7 documents. The documents were picked specifically for this question. So there's 7 of them. Some of the documents address the first task, the problems that people faced, and the rest of the documents are picked to support the actions that the government or individuals or organizations took to help with coming out of the Great Depression. All right, so in your first paragraph, your intro paragraph or your thesis paragraph, you're going to use the historical context. You need to take the historical context. You need to start not using that word for word. You have to read it, you have to understand it, and then you have to put it into your own words. So at the very least, you need to look at this and put it into your own words. All right, that's going to be your intro paragraph. It needs to, in there at some point, hopefully at the bottom, state that you're going to discuss the problems that Americans faced, and secondly, that you're going to discuss the actions that the American government, groups, or individuals took to help solve the problems that Americans faced in the Great Depression, okay? Those last sentence or two sentences in your first paragraph, that is your thesis. That's telling me what specifically you're going to write in this essay. Okay? All right. That's pretty straightforward. It's given to you. All right? Reword the historical context, use the tasks, put them together. There's your first paragraph. So now we're done with that first paragraph. Now we have to start the body paragraphs. In this essay, there's 2 body paragraphs. They're going to be set up identical, but they're going to talk about different things. The first body paragraph is going to talk about the first task, and the second body paragraph is going to talk about the second task. The construction of them are going to be identical. Okay, so listen to me, it's identical. The first sentence of your body paragraph should be your task, okay? Your task is written as a question. In this case, the first task says, discuss the problems that Americans faced during the Great Depression. You need to now make that into a statement, okay? So you get rid of discuss, and you say something to the effect, Americans faced many problems during the Great Depression, period. That's a statement. That's telling me, okay, that is what this paragraph is going to be about, problems faced by Americans. There's the first thing. There's 4 things you need to do. That's the first. The second is you immediately get into discussing the documents that support that question, okay? There's 3 or 4 documents in this packet that go to that task, okay? You need to identify them, and you do them one right after the other in this paragraph. So you've got your statement question, which is the task, and then you immediately start talking about the documents. You would say, document 1 shows, or document 2 shows, and you explain what the document is. There's a couple of photographs, there's a chart, there's a letter, there is all sorts of things. There's a bill, okay? All right, you discuss that, say, in document, let's say it's document 4, okay? Document 4 shows a picture of men lined up at a free soup and bread line, okay? You need to then go into depth. You need to tell me that was a problem. Why was that a problem? How come they were there? Okay? That's where your knowledge is going to come out, by looking at that document. Okay? So you explain it. As soon as you're done explaining document 4, you go to the next document, because there's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 documents that you're going to need to use. So you're going to need to use them right in a row. A good amount of time to discuss it might be 2 or 3 sentences per document. Okay, it's more of an analysis. You're not just showing me the document. Document 4 shows a picture of men lined up in a bread line. That doesn't tell me much about what you know about it. Why are they there? You have to go into that analysis. When you're done with that, you go to the next document. Do the same thing. It's all in the same paragraph. You're just going right in a row. Once you've used all the documents, then you have one more step to do. All right. You have to provide one piece of what we call outside information. All right. That information is information that you do not find anywhere in any of these 7 documents, okay? It could be from the textbook that you've read. It could be from Cinderella Man, because that was a true story, okay, about the fighter during the Depression, problems that he and his family suffered, okay? And there was also information in there that could be used for the second task as well. It could be from information that you learned from your parents or grandparents, family stories about your family surviving the Great Depression, okay? 1 piece of outside information per task, okay? Only 1. There's 3 steps. The last one is simple. You need a summary sentence to end that paragraph. And it's really simple. You take your first sentence and make it into a summary sentence. These were a couple of problems that Americans faced during the Great Depression. It's that simple. That's all set. That first task is taken care of. You're done. Okay? You don't need to do anything more. Now you need to address the second task. You do the same thing. You start with the statement sentence using task 2, and then you use the documents that you didn't use for task 1 because they didn't fit. They talked about solving the problem, okay? And you do them right in order, okay? And then when you're done discussing those tasks, those documents, then you find that 1 more piece of outside information from any of those other sources that I just told you about, and you're done. That's 90% of the DBQ. Your last step, obviously, is your conclusion. And that's very simple. You use your first paragraph and turn it upside down, all right? And it goes from very specific to very broad. Okay, what I mean by that is your intro paragraph is going to start broad. 1929, the stock market crashed, America fell into a big economic depression. And you're getting more and more focused. And the last couple of sentences are going to say, Americans face many problems, but the government and individuals or groups tried to find solutions. So your conclusion is going to start, Americans faced a ton of problems, but through the resolve of Franklin Roosevelt and the government and other individuals, there were lots of solutions that were presented to the American people. This made it easier going through the rough time known as the Great Depression. Something similar to that. This is due Wednesday afternoon. If you have questions, email me, okay? If you have Remind, which you all should, which you all don't, all right, you need to, if you download that, you can contact me on that as well, okay? And if you really need me to call you, I will. Just let me know in an email when and where to call you, okay? And I can do that. Don't worry too much about it, all right? Just keep chipping away at it. And I hope this works. I hope these hints work with the document that I gave you before that I typed up last week for you. And good luck. And boy, I really miss you guys. This kind of sucks. And hopefully we get back sooner than later. Maybe by the beginning of middle of May, just to finish up the year. And we'll go from there. Okay? Thanks for keeping up with your work, and we'll talk to you soon.